Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of the Papa D's cooking show from the train in Fordsburg, Johannesburg. Today I'll be preparing for you a chicken karai in my favorite little appliance here, the Philips pressure cooker. It's an electric pressure cooker, of course, and you'll find how easy it is to work with this little machine. You know, we always talk about additional help in the kitchen, but believe me, this is what you've been looking for. And why do I say this? Normally, we've used all sorts of appliances, and I'm sure you've got most of them. You may even have one of these. But with all the appliances, you still need to tend to them. Now, why I like this machine is that once I get all my ingredients in, it's going to do the cooking for me. Now, isn't that what I want? That while my curry is cooking, I can go ahead and do something else. For instance, if you a working mom, when you sit down for breakfast, before you sit down for breakfast, all you need to do is get the meal of the day, and if this is the one you're doing, have all your ingredients in front of you, place them in your pressure cooker, and start having your breakfast. Believe me, by the time you're done with your breakfast, your day's cooking is going to be done too. So let's start off with the first procedure. Like I said, the golden rule of Indian cooking is to cook your meat first. So I'm going to add some oil. I've preheated my pressure cooker, and as I've mentioned to you, I'm going to use this as a conventional cooker and then as a pressure cooker. So I don't need to use two different utensils and two different cooking mediums. I've also used my chicken. You'll notice I haven't drained it. And this I've done purely because I don't want all the moisture to go out of it. I don't want to add water to this. Now, in your conventional pressure cooker, you would obviously be putting water in, and you're virtually getting a boiled product at the end of it. At the end of that, you then flip the juices out. You take your container, all the water that's in there, you flip it out because you don't need so much water. Now with that, you're throwing out all the nutrition of whatever you're cooking, be it vegetables, be it meat, be it chicken, whatever. So with this one, you're cooking with less water, you're still getting the pressure, but you are retaining all the nutrition inside. With bony meat, I always prefer especially with chicken, just slightly crack the bone so that you can get the juices out of the bone and it'll become part of your stock. I'm going to place my chicken in. Again, I'm using fairly large pieces of chicken because this is also a reasonably dry presentation. You could do it in a more saucy curry if you like, and that would just mean adding more tomatoes and more tomato puree. I'll go through the ingredients just now, but what I want to do is get the meat getting ready so that we won't be wasting time. And I want to show you how quickly this can be done. I'm using all the bony meat. Why I like using whole dried chilies, in fact, I can pop them in right now and they'll actually start cooking, and you'll notice at the end of the meal they've actually still retained their shape and a lot of its taste has already been infused into the meat. To that, once I have a little more water coming out of here, I'm just tossing my meat around a bit. It's already whiting, if you can see that. Yeah, no, that I'm going to come to as we go. All right? Okay. Okay, all right. So I'll start from I've put the red chilies in. Right? So I've put my red chilies in, and I want that to infuse with the meat. And then two other ingredients, very important, are my crushed garlic. And I mentioned to you that if you're stuck without garlic at home, use your dry garlic, add it into a cup of hot water, and it'll double in volume, and this is what you'll get. Fresh garlic, the aroma, everything is exactly as you would have just cut garlic. Now, I just find chopping garlic and cleaning garlic to be a great mission, and I'm quite happy with this. So now that my juices have already started coming out of the meat, I'm going to start adding my spices. I'll add in some of my garlic first. And this dish, you want it to be a bit spicy. So I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of the ginger garlic paste, a 1/4 teaspoon of haldi or turmeric. Now, why I'm using coarse instead of fine chilies here, I want the texture of the curry to be very rough in a sense. So I'm using all more or less whole spices. I'm going to put in a full 2 chilies there. If you want it milder or hotter, you can do that as you like. I'm going to move on to I'm just using 2 cloves in here. Cloves also can be overwhelming. A piece of the cinnamon and 1 pod of the cardamom. Whole jeeru, 1 teaspoonful. Fine jeeru, 1 teaspoonful. And then the dhana powder, I'm going to put in 2. Again, when you're working with spices of the similar color and texture, these two can be confusing. Just take a quick taste and you'll know exactly the difference. I'm adding very little of this fried onion to this. You'll notice there's no other onion in this dish. So I put in very little of that. My spices are in. And if you really look at it, my curry is on its way. All right? In that, I want this to be a dry curry. I'm not using too much tomato or tomato sauce or whatever. I'll just be using some tomato puree, and then of course the whole tomatoes will go in after that. I'll also add in some of my ginger juliennes now. And the rest I'll use for garnishing when the meal is done. I'm going to add in about 1/2 cup of tomato puree. And give it a good stir. As I've mentioned, I want the curry to be quite dry, not too saucy, but you could do the same thing and have it saucy by adding more of the tomato puree and more tomatoes. I want to try and maintain the wedges of tomato when they cook. So I'm using 1 whole tomato, and I'm just going to drop them in. Because now remember, the good thing here is I'm not going to have to stir it all the time. And obviously if you did that, it will be very hard to maintain the whole wedges of tomato. Now, the tomatoes will also give off a lot of moisture into this curry, so I'm not adding any water at all. There we go. My vent is in the closed position. You'll notice you have a number 12 mark here. And that's where I'm going to cook my curry, on 12 minutes. So here we are. My 12 minutes are up. I'm depressurizing the cooker. Let's open up the pot and see. You see the consistency of the gravy? It's thick, just the way I like it. My tomatoes, they've actually cooked through completely. So you'll just see little bits of them when we serve the plate. I'm going to call Chef Proud quickly to help me serve this dish. So here we have it, our chicken karai, served with fried onions, juliennes of ginger, and fresh green chilies on top. And we're obviously serving that with a nice crispy paratha. So for today, this will be all from us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.